How's everybody doing today, man? So this video I'm going to do is going to be a series of videos on for people who think they might want to be a comedian. And they don't know where to start. What do I do? Who do I talk to? I think I'm funny. People at the office say I'm funny. Or people around my hood think I'm funny. I'm going to give you roadmaps, whether you live in an area that's predominantly full of minorities like black folks, Mexicans, whatever, or if you're just a white guy out there, you're in some part of the country where that's not a factor. I'm gonna cover all of that, but I'm not gonna cover all in this video because there's way more too much to cover in one video. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through a bunch of different blocks and I'm gonna do a series of it. This will be the first one, and all I'm gonna talk about on this video is what to do if you think you're funny, how to identify the fact that you might actually have the skill set to be a professional comedian. So how do I know about all this wonderful stuff about being a comedian, man? As I've been a comic for a lot of years, man, over 25 years, actually. I know I don't look that old, but I am. But I've been a comic for a long time, man. I've done every piss hole, shit hole bar you can think of, from Battle Mountain, Nevada to, I mean, you name it, man. But I've also played the Punchlines nationwide. I played the Comedy Store. I'm an author. I did a book called You Might Be Country Ghetto. It's a widely sold book. A lot of people bought the book. We'll probably put a picture of it on here at some point while I'm talking to you and editing. But I'm an author. I've headlined rooms. I've done big rooms. I opened up for the Pointer Sisters and Kenny G and all that kind of stuff, man. I've done some television, some parts in TV shows and things like that. But what matters is the comedy, okay? And I want to talk to y'all about how you do comedy. Now, in the series, as this thing kind of evolves, I'm going to get into some advanced techniques for people out there who aren't beginners, who aren't just thinking about it. I'm going to get into some stuff for headliners out there. Folks, guys that's out there headlining rooms that, you've been doing it for a while, a few things you may have forgotten. I'm going to cover a lot of stuff, man. I'm going to talk about how to write a joke, or break down how a joke is constructed. I'm going to tell you about the best way you can go about presenting your material in front of audiences. We'll learn a lot of stuff. If you just follow this series, it's going to go on and on and on. Because I suspect we're probably going to get a lot of people, and I'm starting to sweat already, man. We're going to get a lot of people that's going to see this, and they're going to be thinking to themselves, look, man, I've got questions, and I'm going to get emails. I'm going to have a section of my series where I'm going to address questions that people write in. So y'all know exactly, this thing is current, it's ever flowing, it's ever evolving, man, because I still get questions from people after I do shows that I don't expect to even get. And so I'm not going to propose to cover everything on this series. So I'm looking forward for y'all sending me some questions, and that way we can do all that. Again, my name is Billy Ray Scott. Just so y'all know, when you start Googling around, you know who I am. I'm from the South, born and raised, and lived in California for a long time, man. And so now I've done comedy. I still do comedy when I can. I got my fingers in a lot of things. But this is my way of kind of giving back to people who really want to do comedy and don't know how to do comedy. And so and they don't know how to get into it. They don't even know if they think they're funny or not. And there I go sweating again, man. I'm sweating like crazy. So we're going to get started with this, okay? So first thing I'm going to cover, a lot of people, they wake up one day, they go, man, I know I'm funny, man. People in the office think I'm funny. One of the ways thing you have to remember as you start thinking, man, I can't be a comedian. I don't know how I could be a comedian. I mean, I'm the funniest guy at the office, but I don't know how I could be a professional comedian. Well, you got to remember, every guy, whether Seinfeld, Chris Rock, or any of those guys, they all started off somewhere. Okay, and in most cases, a lot of comedians used to be that funny guy in the office. I kid you not. There was that guy. I was that guy that you had the job, and they go, "Oh, we gotta invite Billy Ray, man. Oh, that dude's funny." So you get there, and you're just a barrel of laughs all the time. And so you start thinking, man, I know I can do this on stage. Okay, and so if you're one of those people that you're always the life of the party and all that, that's a sign that you might want to try getting into comedy so you can kind of expose your demons to the audience, and see if it works on a bigger scale. The other way you might know, you might thinking, how do I know I'm a comedian or I got comedian tendencies? If you find yourself getting around people, okay, and somebody says something that's funny, and you got something in your head that you think is even funnier, and then you tell a friend later, I started to say, and your friend's cracking up and he's going, dude, you should have said that. You should have said that. If that happens like all the time, that means that you might be a comedian. Now, not everybody can be a comedian. Some people are great at just writing material, okay? Some people are great at saying it, but they're not great at writing it, okay? And sometimes people are great at both, okay? And for me, I'm better at doing comedy than I'm at writing it, but I've developed a skill in writing because I've been doing it for so long. But if you're somebody who's never done comedy before, don't worry about whether or not you're a writer or you have a tendency to be a comedian and present it on stage, okay? What you have to worry about is finding out if you can do the stage thing, because generally for people who live normal lives, you're not going to have an opportunity to test your writing skills with anybody, okay? But once you start doing it for a while, you'll know, is this something that you want to be, jokes you want to be telling? Maybe you're better off writing it for somebody else. And there's venues for that. I know Jay Leno used to do a thing a long time ago where, and Letterman did too, you could write in jokes, you just be able to fax them in. If they use them, they send you $50. And I don't know if they still do that. But there are comics out there who really aren't good at writing, but they're great at telling jokes, who would probably buy the bits off of you if you kept supplying them some good material along the way. So that's something to think about, and we'll get into that a little bit later on in this series. But back to you, that guy, you're like, man, I'm funny. I know I'm the comedian. Like, you now, let's get to the point where you've established that you think you're funny. Like, man, I'm funny, man. I'm a funny cat, man. I could kill it out there. How do I get my talent in front of anybody? Well, this is how. There's several different ways you could do it. Now, there's softcore, medium core, and hardcore. Still with the softcore way of getting your material out there to see if you're funny or not. Softcore way. The softcore way is figure out a joke that you've thought of. And not like a knock-knock joke. Because some people think of jokes, they think of, there's two rabbis in a closet or something. That's like a joke you would tell friends. I'm talking about stand-up comedy routine type of material. Okay? Think of something that's funny. Like, I don't know, my aunt, has a wooden leg, and you want to write a joke about that, whatever that joke is, okay? And what you do is you talk to somebody, and you explain it to them as a second or third party type of story. For example, you might say, I got a buddy of mine who has an aunt who has a wooden leg, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you tell them. And then they may or may not laugh. Maybe the joke, maybe the way you present it to them. But you're not telling it to them like you're being a comedian. You're just telling a story. But for yourself personally, you're starting to practice at taking these stories and putting them in front of somebody, okay? That's the softcore way of doing it, okay? Now, if you get a series of jokes, for example, let's say if you got the wooden leg joke, you got another joke about a guy who drives a blue piece of shit Hyundai, okay? Well, one of the things you want to practice on right away, because it's always going to be a part of your life as a comedian, is a little thing called segues. Segues is how a comedian gets you from one story to another. For example, you might be talking about your family. Here, I got a brother. He's kind of an idiot, and I hate his guts, but you do a joke about that. I hate his guts. He's an asshole, and I never want to talk to him. I mean, I'd rather talk to his ass than to talk to his face, because at least I know his ass will stop moving at some point. You might say that, and your segue might be, his ass might stop moving at some point, I mean, and I like cars that move, I like cars that can really go really fast. Like the other day I was test driving this Porsche, and this cop pulls up to me. So you just segued into being pulled over by the cops. So what you can do is, when you're talking to people in a casual fashion, use a segue to switch from one subject to the next. People do it all the time without even knowing it. Okay, that's just how people relate when they got multiple things to tell you. But the thing is, you want to do it as a practicing kind of element to what you want to do on stage. Get you in the habit of changing subjects. Now, sometimes you could change your subject and not have a segue, and that can become funny. Okay, for example, you might say, "Hey, I got pulled over by the cops the other day. What a jackass!" Anyway, speaking of painting a house, the other day I was painting my house, and people will laugh at that. Because what the hell is this guy talking about? He didn't say that, Now, you can only get away with that so many times before people kind of start checking out on you. They go, this guy's kind of random, needs to get it together. So that's a softcore way of just presenting yourself as a comedian and talk to somebody. Practice on friends, but they can't know you're telling them a joke. You can't go up to a friend or a family member and say, hey, I'm thinking about being a comedian. Do you think this is funny? Don't do that, okay? You want to work it within the conversation and see how they react to what it is that you thought was funny. Now, we'll get into joke writing techniques and all that on another module, but I'll just tell you things you could do just to kind of get the engine running, okay? Now, by the way, if you're that clueless as to how to put together a joke, like, what's a joke? What's funny, okay? One of the things you might try doing, watch Comedy Central. Watch George Carlin, Richard Pryor, any of these guys, old school guys, new school guys, Bill Burr, all these guys. Watch their act, okay? Take a joke that they do, okay? You're not going to steal the joke. Stealing is never a good idea, okay? It's a bad idea. It's the worst thing you could do. Well, what you can do is take a joke that they do, okay? Put in information that applies to you, okay? Then go to a friend. Never do this on stage and say, hey, what do you think of this, okay? I heard this joke the other day from this comedian named Bill Burr, and this is how it went, okay? And then watch where they laugh at and go, okay, that's how you tell a joke. Then go back to your own material. Take the Bill Burr bit and bury it. Go to your own material and think of a similar punchline, not in terms of content, but in terms of the way it's presented, and then present your joke in that fashion so you could develop a skill about how to tell a joke, okay? Once again, now we go to the Mediumcore way of getting out there. The Mediumcore way of getting out there is going to an open mic. They have them all the time. They have the open mic where the bands are playing music and they go, oh, it's open mic. We do poetry in between the bands. Sometimes it's just poetry. Just find anywhere where there's a mic and people will listen. And go up there and tell them, I'm going to do 2 minutes of material. Don't tell them 5. Don't tell them 10. Tell them 2. When you go to Los Angeles and you're at the Comedy Store or the Laugh Factory, typically they'll give you 2 minutes to get to the point, get the hell off the stage, okay? So you want to tell them, I got 2 minutes of material to do. I'm new in comedy, so I hope y'all think this is funny, okay? Let them know you're new. Don't make no bones about it, okay? And you get up there and do 2 minutes and skip the hell off the stage. And go right, when you leave that stage, make a beeline to your notebook and write down the things that you remember. Only way you're going to get better is to remember it in real time like that. If you wait until later on at night, or you have a few shots of tequila with your buddies and then try to figure out later, you're never going to remember the mistakes you made, okay? So you want to go to the Mediumcore way is to hit open mics, okay? Anywhere where you got a crowd of people that will give you a mic to do some material, that's where you want to go. Okay, that's the Mediumcore way. Now, the hardcore way is the thing that I did, buddy of mine, Darren Carter. We grew up doing comedy back in the day in Fresno and in the Bay Area. This is what we did. And Leno and Letterman, those guys used to do this, by the way. This is kind of where we got the idea. So I'm not telling you this is something we invented. What we did was, we just wandered into a bar, and you can try this. Take a friend with you. And again, this is the hardcore way. You write yourself 3 or 4 jokes, 2 or 3 minutes of something to say. Go into just a bar, just some old watering hole, okay? And then look around and see if there's an open area for you to stand. Go over there and stand there and go, hey, can I have everybody's attention? And everybody's going to know, what the hell does this guy want? Say, hey, I'm a comedian, man. I'm a comedian. I made a bet with my buddy that I could make y'all laugh, okay? So if y'all could bear with me, I'm just going to do a little bit of stand-up. Everybody okay with that? They're all drunk. They don't care how they go ahead, buddy, go ahead. And then you just start doing your material. You're probably going to bomb. These guys booed me off. They say, you suck. They chased me off. You're going to bomb. I almost guarantee you it's going to be ugly. But you're going to walk out there with those wounds, and you're going to say, man, that was awful. But you got balls now. You're like, whew, man, that was a tough crowd. Do this in 10 different bars within the course of a week. 10. Find 10 bars. Walk in randomly. Just throw your stuff out there. Find something funny that's going on in the bar. Find something funny you want to talk about. Do what you got to do, but do it with 10 different bars. And then after that week of doing that, then go backwards to the Mediumcore. Then go to an open mic where people are actually there to hear people do something. Okay? Do that. Okay. Now, some people, now the one of the questions I know I'm going to get already, if there's an open mic where there's other comedians, should I be in that room? If you can avoid it, try to avoid the open mic where there's a bunch of comedians. Because comedians who kind of go to open mics all the time, they tend to be, some of them tend to be kind of bitter. They're kind of cliquish, you know? So if you're not doing the kind of material that they like or they think is creative enough, then you're going to get a lot of flack for it. You have to remember when you're doing comedy, from the beginning to the end, the name of the game is confidence. You got to believe, you got to sell what you are saying. You got to make them believe that you believe it. Because if you believe it, they'll believe it. Okay? It's all about confidence. I was at the Comedy Store once. I was getting ready to go on stage. I was fairly new in comedy. And I'm ready to go up, man. I'm kind of nervous, man. I'm in LA. I'm at the Comedy Store, first time, all this kind of thing. And they said, hey, we got a guest set tonight. Put your hands together for Jerry Seinfeld. And I was like, okay. This is when Seinfeld was the thing at the time. It's all over the TV, #1 rated. And everybody went bananas. He went up there and did his normal thing. Hey, why did they call it dryer? It doesn't get any drier. He did that whole thing. People went bananas. Jerry Seinfeld left the stage. A bunch of chicks followed him out the door. Place was half empty now. So I'm supposed to go up there and be funny now. Okay? And I just did my act. Now, I still bombed. But I walked away from that thinking to myself, man, my bits are just as funny as his. No, I'm not the famous name that he is, but my stuff is just as funny. And so I got to believe it the next time I get on stage. I just got to believe in me. And the next show that I did, I killed. It was great, man. You know, and after that, I can't be touched. I don't care if Jesus himself went up on stage before me. I still get on the mic and knock it out the park. And you start to believe that. And if you believe that, you find yourself doing a lot better. Now, the other thing you want to do, by the way, you're trying to figure out, am I funny? And you get to an open mic. If you happen to want to go to one of those open mics and there's other comedians there, okay? After you do your set, leave the room. Leave the building, go away. Don't hang out and watch somebody else have a fantastic, incredible set so you can feel worse about yourself than maybe you already feel, okay? Do your 2, 3, 5 minutes and get the hell out. Okay, guys, bye. Gone, okay? Go to your car. Pull out your notepad. Write down, don't worry about learning stuff from other people talking. Comedians at open mics are there. A lot of them are there because they all want time, obviously, on stage. But they're there in groups because they want to try to make each other feel better about themselves, okay? And what's really going to make you feel the best is a better set, not another comedian slapping you on the back going, oh, it's going to be okay, poor baby, You need the right stuff. You need the right, Now, I know you're like, well, what do? I don't have anybody to tutor me and let me know what I'm doing wrong. The audience will let you know what you're doing wrong and what you're doing right. You just got to, you know what they laughed at. You know what they didn't laugh at. You just got to be honest with yourself while you're learning this craft on this stuff. Because I still have bits that I do that, 25 years in this, I still have bits I do that I don't want to let go. But people continue to not laugh at it. I gotta write it out of my act. It's not doing nothing for me. I'm not doing public speaking and motivational speaking. I'm doing comedy. People need to laugh at what I'm doing. Okay, and so that's going to pretty much conclude what you need to do if you think you want to be a comedian. I've given you ways to get out there. If you're really not that brave, you want to do the softcore thing. I give you ways to get out there. If you just want to take on an audience, I gave you that method. If you want to go hardcore, I gave you that method. So you got 3 specific different ways you can get out there and hit the floor running with this, okay? And of course, later on, as I start to get into this series, like the next block that I do we're gonna start talking about the different types of comedians out there, and which lane might be best for you. We're gonna talk about material you probably don't want to mess with on stage. Okay, a lot of things we do that we do it isn't always the thing you should be doing because we're here to make people laugh as a group, and we're not here to separate people because that doesn't amount to a great show. Okay. Now, some of the other things we're going to cover some basic stuff. Later on in this series, when we start dealing with advanced techniques, we're going to talk about road etiquette. People don't know this, but I've talked to booking agents about this through the years. Honestly, 75 to 80% of the gigs that comedians don't get, they don't get them not because they bombed. Like when they go, like, I'm talking when you don't get. Like when you go off and you play a gig and you don't get invited back, it's not because you weren't funny. No, a lot of these comics don't get these gigs again. They don't get rebooked. They don't get rebooked because of things they did off the stage. It's the way they interacted with the hotel when they checked in. It's the way they interact with the staff. So I'm going to do a series on that, road etiquette, how you act, what you should be doing. I told you I'm going to break down the construction of a joke. One of the things that people don't even know, some people who want to be comedians, I wonder if as you're watching this, whomever you are, do you know the difference between a riddle and a joke? There's comedians that don't know that. I'll decode it for you. A riddle is a question. Joke is a statement. Pretty simple stuff. So I'll ask you again. The difference between a riddle and a joke is a riddle is a question, a joke is a statement. Okay? So with that said, I'm going to go back. I'm going to make some more series. I don't know when I'm going to post them. It's whenever I got time. I'm into doing music and stuff. It's a television project I'm working on. So I don't know how much and how often I'm going to have a chance to do these. But I'm trying to post these as much as I can to try to help people out. And I just got a text message from a manager. He says, don't forget to talk to him about the tagline thing. When we get to the advanced thing, we're going to I'm going to discuss taglines and callbacks and things like that. See, if you're just thinking about doing comedy, you don't even know what the hell I'm talking about. But once you've been doing it for a while, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you're an intermediate comedian, if you're because people don't understand this as a whole, and I will say this, there's different levels to this, as a rapper once said. There's somebody who's an open micer, okay, which is where you hope to be if you're watching this, or maybe you are an open micer. Then there's a person if you're an MC opener. It's the first guy you see at a full-time club, okay. And then there's called a feature act. So in comics we call them middlers. You're a feature act. Okay, you're the guy that goes up and does 30 minutes, and then the last guy, of course, is the headliner. So you got all these different levels and all that. So when I start talking about taglines and comebacks, if you're like an open micer, you know what that is. But if you're just hoping to be an open micer, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But we're going to get into all that stuff. Anyways, I'll ramble on forever and ever about this. Great talking to y'all. You can subscribe to my channel. And then that way when I have a new video comes out, I think the thing is in the corner. It's either this corner, that corner, there, or it's right there. One of those. Anyways. Great talking to you. My name is Billy Ray Scott. Until next time, keep laughing and keep it funny and stay alive. We'll talk to you soon, all right?